Before we get started, I'd like to begin with a disclaimer. After recording this episode, we discovered that the woman featured in the original video felt that she was not portrayed in a way that presented her accurately. A full explanation in her own words can be found in the description below. After careful consideration, we decided that it was necessary to publish the video anyway, as it explores real issues that people face, both in and outside the furry community. If the other partner doesn't even see them, doesn't even know who they are, it's a different experience because they're completely protected. No one knows who they are. Hi everyone, this is Sam Qurashi. I used to be a psychiatric resident in an addiction hospital and now I'm on YouTube. So this is another video where my producer is picking out a video for me to watch that I haven't seen before. It could be from My Strange Addiction series, or it could be something else. And I really don't know which is it's gonna be right now, so let's find out. Okay. What? What?
My name is Lauren. I'm 19 years old. I'm a college student. And I love to wear fursuits.
When I read that word, I thought of something completely different, and it just didn't make sense that it was an addiction. Now I see it is. Thank you once again, Tobias.
Normally, I'm kind of shy, but Kira lets me bring out my more outgoing and talkative side. If I'm ever having a bad day, putting on the suit and just going out will definitely end the day in a good note.
Okay.
Lauren as a kid was really outgoing, totally not shy. When her dad died, that's when things started to go downhill for Lauren. After that, she became introverted. She barely squeaked by in high school.
I became antisocial and shy and just really stayed in my shell. I just felt kind of lost after that.
What's interesting about this is there's a previous video that I haven't seen. I highly recommend you check it out, which is the My Puppet Addiction. What's interesting about that is it's a different version. This is a different version because with the puppets, you're creating an external reality of a friend, but it's also a persona you live through that gives you permission to do things in the world that you normally wouldn't give permission for yourself to do in front of other people. So you break your own beliefs, you break your own boundaries, you break your own limitations by stepping into that character and insulting someone when you wouldn't insult the person, that particular person, or you'd be rude to people in general through that character, that puppet, it wasn't me. It was the character. Not only the character that I'm playing, it's the character that the puppet is playing. It wasn't me, it was the puppet. So you have an excuse to get away with a lot more. But for here, the benefit of wearing something like that, I wanted the origin story. When I got the origin story about her father passing, and then she got shy, she felt limited. And her way of dealing with that limitation, to break out of the limitation, is basically to step into, whenever there's a trauma, there's a need for an adaptation. And the adaptation doesn't necessarily need to turn to an addiction, but every addiction is an adaptation. But not every adaptation is an addiction. And in this case, she stepped into an adaptation that may have turned into an addiction. I guess it's affecting her life and we're gonna see. But I think one of the most important things to touch upon here is the adaptation was to break free from the limitation caused by the pain of the loss of her father, most likely. I would confirm that by having a session with her. I would confirm that by talking to her. But right now, based on the information I'm provided in this video, I would imagine that would be the case. To hide her shyness, she is wearing a costume that covers her entire body, even her face, which gives her more freedom because that's a barrier of protection from being attacked, but it's also a barrier of protection from being judged because no one knows who she is. And even if people know who she is, they don't see her. And as long as they don't see her, it doesn't count. She can be whatever she wants. And most likely she's going to use that and walk around in front of people that don't know who she is, which gives her the freedom of invisibility in a way, because she's invisible even though people can see the cover, the outer layer. They don't know who she is, which means that she can get away with anything, which gives her that freedom. It's a very powerful tool when used in the right way.
Lauren is very good at making the fursuits. She really does have a talent for this. What concerns me about the fursuits is Lauren is constantly working on them. I'll get up in the middle of the night and I'll see her working on her fursuits. She'll half-heartedly look for a job and then it's back to the fursuits again. She's going to school just to pacify me. She tends to only have time for fur.
It's fun, it's helpful, it is effective. It may not be a solution. And when it comes to trauma, avoidance of the trauma is never a solution. I'm touching upon the potential benefits because it is a great distraction. Distraction is not the answer. It is helpful, but it's not the solution. It doesn't provide a permanent solution. What this can be helpful in doing is it's a gradual transition to acceptance in order to release. It could be a good segue. What it could also provide, and what would make it very helpful as well, is just like what I mentioned, if I have a fear of something, creating a character, a costume, a puppet that enables me to do that thing through that character, it's a smart way to get me to do that change anyway, because if I'm creating a character and the character is doing it, whether it's a puppet or whether it's me, or whether it's a costume that I wear so I become someone else to do that, it's not far-fetched for me to make the connection that I am that person. I am playing that character. And even though that character is doing it, not me, in my head, but the truth is I'm actually doing it, and the character wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't step into the character to make that happen. Okay. Interesting.
There is a darker side to the fandom where it does involve fetishes.
A person can get engrossed in this, and sometimes you don't really realize that you're on that road. And as a mom, that's what I think I'm here to stop.
There are many possible reasons why that would be the case, why that would be appealing. But one of them is sometimes in sexual activities, people may want to do things that they fear being judged by wanting or fear being judged by doing. And so if the other partner doesn't even see them, doesn't even know who they are, it's a different experience because they're completely protected. No one knows who they are. They're a character that they are not. And no one sees their face. If the partners know each other, doing something like that would enable some sort of a protection, because even though they know each other, they're giving themselves permission, they're giving each other permission to do things that they would not normally do if they weren't wearing a costume. Or they would give themselves permission to do that because they won't fear being judged, they won't fear having shame because it's not them, it's the character, and because the other person can't see who they are as well. So there's that aspect.
Andrew's my little cousin and he's 8 years old, and every time he sees me or sees one of my fursuits, he always begs me to make him one. But his dad really doesn't want him getting into something like this.
He thinks that they're the coolest things and he wants one. And there is no way in hell Chris is gonna let his son Andrew walk around with any fur, anything.
I think it's a little ridiculous, especially in a public place. I think it's pretty out there. It's weird walking around with these things on.
The father, or her cousin, who's the father of the kid that she wanted to design a costume for, was resistant to it. Whenever we have a resistance towards something, it's important to explore where the resistance is coming from. It is coming from fear. What's the father afraid of? Or what is the insecurity that created the resistance in the father? Was he traumatized in some way, in a way linked to that, or remotely, indirectly linked to it? Was he shamed for dressing up as a character in a play when he was a kid. There's so many different reasons that would get someone to suddenly be resistant. We are naturally resistant to a handful of things, instinctively. But in general, most of the resistances we feel, we learned to resist. Most of them come from an insecurity. Most of them come from fear.
Could you imagine going to a party or another social event without the suit?
It'd take a lot of guts, so no.
Who she is in that costume is who she wishes she could be, at least some of the time. It's a part of who she is, but she's not able to feel comfortable doing that without the costume. Lauren does seem to be someone who wants to be optimistic, someone who wants to have fun. If I had a wish for her, it would be that she could feel that playfulness without the suit. I just do wonder about that whole idea of a part of you that you're able to express more fully in costume, and whether it's possible to get to that point without the costume, or even if that's something you're interested in.
It could be. It'd be nice to just kind of come out of my shell a little bit more. I mean, of course, even if I did fully just kind of exert myself like that, I still would wear the suits and I'd still be kind of crazy, but it would be nice.
So we don't have to put it away. We don't have to stop the creativity and the fun that you have. But imagine if you could do it on your own.
The therapist did something really beautiful. She basically told her to imagine what it would be like. And it's very important to plant the seed by imagining, and by asking her to imagine what it would be like for her to walk in. That breaks the barrier of the fear, because whenever we have phobias, we have an image, we have a movie in our mind that plays. But with what she's doing is she's trying to reverse or override, she's trying to record over that footage a new video. She's trying to re-edit and change that scene. Instead of her walking being terrified, first of all, imagining the possibility of her doing it. The next step would be imagine doing it and enjoying it. So you connect emotion with imagination, because imagination triggers emotion anyway, but then you amplify emotion. And then she starts feeling more comfortable with the idea of doing it. And if you can't see something happening in your mind, you're never going to do it in reality. And so it's a form of visualization to get it done. The second thing that she did that was beautiful is that she said, I would change the phrasing, but I care more about what her intention was. She was basically talking about there's no need to let go of creativity. Because one thing you'd notice in the patient is that she said, even if I do that, even if I get to that level of going to parties without wearing a costume, I still want to do that. So she wants to defend her right to choose. She wants to defend that adaptation that served her so well and so much for so long since her father passed. It became a sacred ritual, a sacred behavior to her, and it needs to be honored. It needs to be respected. It needs to be appreciated by the therapist. And if the therapist attacks it, criticizes it, neglects its value, then she's going to create a block between herself and the patient. Automatically. It has to be acknowledged and respected, not just as a way to connect with the patient for the patient to comply, but also to tell the truth. Because when you're telling the patient that what they're doing is wrong, when it served a purpose, what you're saying is they don't know what's best for themselves, and that will get anyone defensive. And even if that is the truth, that there is a problem there, at least acknowledge that what she is doing serves a purpose and there is an intelligence behind it. Then she will feel comfortable. She won't feel self-conscious. She won't feel judged. She won't feel accused. And therefore she won't block the communication.
Would you say that designing these costumes helps with that? Would you say that you feel a sense of, wow, look what I've created, this is awesome?
It does. My mom always puts it like, I'm good at what I want to do.
She is working on these suits in a way that I'm not sure many people could say they're dedicated to anything to the extent she is. And when you think about self-esteem, think about all the other wonderful things you're able to accomplish. And you know, it doesn't hurt to look for some reminders.
Yeah.
Hanging an A+ paper on the refrigerator, while it sounds a little childish in a way, it's a reminder of what you're capable of doing.
I don't see myself stopping being in the furry fandom or wearing my fursuits. It's definitely a very rewarding experience for me, and I just love doing it, so I will definitely be continuing this.
I really love this video. It does encapsulate a lot of different things. And I think the therapist is great, starting a conversation, acknowledging what the behavior is and the benefits of the behavior. Maybe even mentioning the consequences of the behavior as well. There's nothing wrong with that. And then creating the possibility by creating the imagination and then adding emotion to it. And then by doing that, you make it easier for her to make that transition. Add to that the graduality. So imagine, what I would do is I would gradually get her out of not completely not wear. It's not about not wearing it. It's about not wearing it all the time and not obsessing about it all the time, which is what her mother at the beginning talked about. You know, she loves her creativity. It's just that she's obsessing over it and she's doing it all day, which they didn't touch upon it, but it definitely affected her. It would definitely affect her grades. It would affect her sleep, her daily activities, her life, relationships, work. She's still a student, but eventually. So it's really about, it's not about eliminating it. It's about taming that addiction in a way that allows it to serve her without compromising other areas in her life. Allowing her to have the choice, because if she's addicted to wearing, that means she's limited, because she is forced through the addiction to keep wearing this whenever she goes out. I don't know, they didn't talk about the school. I would imagine she's not allowed to go to school, but if it's public gatherings or if it's, you know, social activities, she wears that. She's compelled to wear it. She's forced to wear it. And the reason for that is the addiction. What if she has a choice? What if she reaches a point where she has the choice of actually going or not? What if she has the choice of wearing it or not wearing it, instead of feeling the need to wear it? If she can get to that point, that's fine. I would never want her to stop wearing it because she enjoys it, because she has an emotional connection to her dad while wearing it that they didn't even touch upon. So I wouldn't want her to stop. So this was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for My Strange Addiction series or any other series on YouTube or outside of YouTube, any shows, videos, in general movies that you want me to comment on or break down or react to, please comment in the section below. And I wish you an amazing morning, evening, afternoon, night, wherever you are. Take care. Bye for now.